Welcome back, folks. Today we're just trimming up. Actually, we're finished trimming. Now we're going to touch up these case mouths here on some 308 Winchester. Just using the old Lyman case prep center here and giving it a final chamfer and deburr on that case mouth. And now we're ready to load these up after we get primed, of course. Pretty simple process, of course. You've got your chamfer and deburring tools, and what that does is takes that square edge off of your trimmed case mouth and allows your new bullet to easily slide in there without scraping off any of your jacket or anything like that. And as you can see there, a nice entryway for your next projectile. Doesn't take a whole lot of pressure. We just give it a quick 1 or 2 seconds and maybe a quarter turn or something just to even it out. Pretty simple task here, but it's something that's got to be done every single time you trim. So, you know, you better get used to it. And if you're like me, I don't know, I like to get a whole mess of it prepped all at once so I can just have it sitting aside. Whenever I do want to go and load, I just have my brass ready to go. And all of these are some variation of a Lake City head stamp. I don't think we have any of the match cartridges in here, but just LC with a date. Some of them actually have the NATO stamp, but we're all using the Lake City here just to keep it that consistent at least. And as far as I can tell, they're all once fired, you know, range pickup or whatever. So that's cool. They required quite a bit of force to actually size down and bump the shoulders properly. I don't know what gun they came out of, but we've got some with a fluted neck, which would indicate some kind of set me or G3 or something along those lines from HK. But most of them, you know, they're basically brand new now. Speaking of one with the fluted chamber, you can see there, it sizes out just perfectly. I can barely feel it. And then once it actually fire forms into my gun, that'll be pretty much smoothed out. Unless it actually cracks on one of those lines, which isn't unheard of, but it's not the end of the world either, because we at least got that last firing out of it. And we don't even really need to be doing this little last brushy piece here because I'm going to be wet tumbling these one last time. But it does get off most of those shavings so they don't end up in the wet tumbler and then down your drain and so on and so forth. So I guess that's handy. But if I was going straight from this to loading, I would probably use that just to clean off the mouth as best I could. So you can see it's a relatively quick process. It just takes a lot of time, a lot of reps here. And the unfortunate part is this is only like a quarter of the brass that I actually want to have done. But I'll start here because it'll both last me a long time and it's a lot of work to do a whole bunch more to leave sitting like I said I do. But if you just do it in batches, a few hundred at a time, it's not so bad. You don't get burnt out doing one thing. You can jump between projects and whatnot. So this is kind of an ongoing, you know, longer term project just for having brass prepped. I'm doing the same thing with 223 brass. I've got all the Lake City sorted out. And then a mixed pile as well. So that stuff can be for less serious blasting rounds, you know, lower pressure, mild charges. And then all the matching brass can be for a specific set of hunting ammo or high-speed tactical cool guy stuff, or ultra-high BC, shooting flat and hitting the stuff, or whatever. So I like to have a sort of a segregated batch between everything mixed in Lake City as far as my 308 and 223 go, at least. Although for 308, I do like the FC brass, whether that be FC 308 or the FC and a NATO stamp with a date on it. They seem to last for a good amount of firings if you don't, you know, blow them out as hot as you can. So I was trying to do about half of this so I could put it in the wet tumbler here and get that started. So let's see how full we get with where we're at here. I don't think we'll be quite there yet, but let's try it. So I recently asked about the wet tumbling situation. See how dirty the inside is there? I could probably just run the steel pins with a bunch of soap and it would probably clean up a bit, but we'll try that on a later day. But anyways, let's see how many we can fit in here. Cool, we're getting pretty dang close there. So I pretty much did 2 different batches. So we'll get up to the bottom of this little hoop there on the edge of the drum, and then we'll go ahead and start that batch while we cut up the rest of these. So let me fill this up and I'll be back with you. So I had to take a call, and as you see, we're all done with our brass. We've got the first batch in the tumbler going right now, just knocking the dust off. Gonna go for maybe 15 to 20 minutes, and then we'll throw in the next batch. All right, so we're all done tumbling now. We skipped all that, and we're actually primed up. We've got all this brass primed and ready to go. We used the Lee Ram Prime over here on the Rock Chucker. I feel like you guys might have seen that a few times by now. So we've fast forwarded to now where we have all of our brass that's primed here and ready to go. And then this was the same batch. However, they felt extremely loose when I was priming them. But I checked them all with our primer pocket go no-go gauge. The brass passed both of those tests, so it was both swaged properly and still tight enough to accept a new primer. But we were using pulled primers. These are supposedly Winchester large rifle, the WLRs, but they were from pulled down factory ammo. And you can see somewhere in there, yeah, that one's missing an anvil, but you can actually, once we find that anvil when I'm loading it, put it right back in there, load it up into your primer pocket, and in my experience so far, they've all gone bang. Anyways, regardless of that, I believe the loose feeling pockets could have something to do with these pulled primers that were once installed in new brass with very tight pockets. You push that primer back out and it might not have sprung back to its original diameter, thus feeling loose over here. So we have these segregated into 2 different piles. The loose ones, I'm going to use those for just low-powered cast loads, essentially, maybe like, 10 grains of 700X or, whatever, something like that, super low power, whatever. But over here, we're going to load up our full metal jacket, full power hunting loads, whatever we're loading. Those are good to go. Those are up to spec. Those felt nice and tight when we primed them. And that's where we are at now in the life of this brass. Well, anyways, I believe that's going to do it for now. We were just prepping our brass, and now we're fully prepped, 100% ready to load, it says on the top there. So we will see you guys in the next video whenever we decide what we're going to be loading. So let me know down below what you guys want to see. We'll see you in the next video. Have a good one.